First, though, let's bring in my colleague, our political editor, Andrew Clennell. And Andrew, the week after the budget very much continues the sell for the government.
Indeed, Kieran, it was a big budget week and the Prime Minister and every one of his ministers will be out selling the budget in all parts of Australia this week. The Prime Minister was facing questions on Friday as to whether or not he had done enough in the budget for Middle Australia as families struggle with the cost of living.
Does your budget abandon Middle Australia?
Well, Peter Dutton has abandoned common sense. Because if you look at the budget that is put forward, it seems that he's unaware that bringing wage increases forward are assisting Middle Australia. Middle Australia goes to the doctors. And what we're doing with $3.5 billion to support bulk billing will certainly help Australians to find a doctor.
The opposition leader Peter Dutton has not said whether or not he will support the $40 a fortnight JobSeeker rise announced in the budget, and that will be a matter for his party room. Mr Dutton announced in his budget reply speech an alternative policy which would involve people on JobSeeker being able to do extra work and hang on to the payment. I don't believe the government will take that suggestion up, so the increase will probably be waived through the Parliament, but not with any comfort by the opposition. I will speak to Social Services Minister Amanda Rishworth about this shortly. The PM, as I understand it, is more interested in reform of employment services in the next term rather than going with this Dutton proposal. Focus groups held by Labor after the budget showed a slightly underwhelming reaction to it, although people were not concerned that what was announced was inflationary, as I understand it. And that's an attack line the opposition has used. Mr Dutton, in his budget reply speech, called for nuclear energy, the JobSeeker change and restrictions on gambling advertising, but the opposition leader in the end decided not to go with a big policy in the aged care area, which is likely to come later and will seek to address blowouts in that budget. Meanwhile, last week, the Greens and Coalition again made it clear that they would oppose the government's Housing Future Fund in the Senate. A senior government source predicted both opposition parties would, quote, burn over this. The government obviously sees this housing bill as one of its key platforms. The Greens argue it doesn't do enough, with the budget revealing record net overseas migration into Australia, something which could lead to a housing crisis. The decision by the Coalition and Greens to block the bill could eventually allow a double dissolution trigger for the PM to use to call an early election late next year, if he so wishes, Kieran.